Wanted to do a quick video on this YJ I just picked up. A little walk around on. 1989 YJ with a 258 AX15 and more. Picked it up from my brother, who actually bought it from my dad a few years ago. So it's been the family for a couple of years now. This is certainly not going to replace the XJ. The XJ is here to stay. In fact, it feels like a hot rod compared to the YJ. Not by much, but it feels like a hot rod. This will be my daily while I work on the XJ, and then once I get the stuff I want done on the XJ, I have some plans for this that I'd really like to do. In the meantime, let's do a little walk around. Starting with the front, I don't know what brand bumper this is, but I believe it's a Smittybilt bumper. If not, maybe a Warren, I don't know, but I'm willing to bet Smittybilt. Of course, with the Smittybilt winch on it, I like it. That said, I have my eyes on a stubby bumper because I think the Wranglers look really good with those. In no rush though. Has some fake truck lights that do really well. I have them on the XJ2. It's got some 33-inch mud terrains on there. Those were just put on a little bit ago, and as we can see, it's got more than enough tread to do the job. On a 15-inch American Racing Air 62 style wheel. I think it's actually Pro Comp. And underneath, there's some basic sway bar disconnects with the Trail Tamer shocks. And I believe this is a Tough Country lift kit. It's a 4-inch lift, I believe is what I was told. And it has to be the stiffest set of springs I think I have ever seen. I can jump on this bumper right here and you won't see the springs budge. You'll see the sidewall budge. It's seriously the stiffest suspension I think I've ever been on. Maybe something was done wrong when installing this. I don't know. All I know is it's gonna go. Because I have a frame, something the Cherokee doesn't have, which isn't a fault of the Cherokee, but something it doesn't have. One thing I'm looking at is maybe a coil conversion. And I should have looked a little closer because as I'm looking right now, I'm not seeing the finest clearance to do a coil conversion without doing coilovers. We'll see. I'm not going to force anything. Maybe I'll just find myself a good set of leafs and put this on the YJ. Maybe some factory ones, make it spring over. Who knows? And then just a regular Dana 30. This does have the cat on it. Yeah, nothing special on the steering. And then this Dana 30 is geared to 307 right now, which is factory gearing. I'll get to the rear in just a moment. It has some basic pocket flares on here. They're not really in good shape. Cracks all over them. They were on this Jeep when my dad got it 4 years ago, so I knew what the condition they're in. I have my eyes on some flat flares by either Metal Cloak or maybe it's Cab Fab, I don't remember. But I'm thinking about going flat flares on this. We'll find out. And in the engine bay, we have a AMC 258. This was, or the 4.2 liter. This was standard, I believe, up until 1991 for these Jeeps. It is a carbureted inline 6 4.2 liter. They make 112 horsepower from the back factory, and I think upwards of about 200 torque. Pretty anemic, but surprisingly this engine works well, especially when geared right with the transmission and the axles. I'd love to say there's a swap down the line, maybe a 350 or LS, or maybe even just a 4.0 with regular fuel injection, but honestly, I don't know. This works, so I'm not complaining. It does. The only issue with the engine right now is the fan is complete garbage. The clutch is just wasted. I just came back from a drive and it's only 70 degrees out and it was starting to hit 220 when parked at the DEQ, but this fan clutch is completely wasted. It doesn't do anything useful, so I got to replace that first. It does have some rock sliders on it. I do like these a lot, actually. I wish they made something like it for the Cherokee. I'm sure they do, but it's got some decent rock sliders. And in the rear, you got a Ford 8.8 Adam Explorer. I actually have one of these in my Cherokee, though this is geared 373. No issue with that. I actually think it's perfect for the 258. This engine doesn't spin up near as high as the Cherokee will without dying off considerably. Not that the Cherokee spins up high, but the 258 seems to not want to even more. And 373s work great. The front and rear are mismatched. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do, whether I'm just gonna gear the front axle or swap out something. I don't know, I haven't made up my mind yet. But yeah, 8.8 in the rear. The Dana 35 blew up just over a year ago. And in the rear, it's got a worn bumper that's been modified to have a tire carrier. My dad did the work on this, and I think he did a great job on it. I also really like the look of it. Really does have a classic Jeep look. But yeah, nice rear bumper. Inside, it's got the old gauges. I do intend to replace these as they're not very good. At the very least, I'll clean them. As you can see right there, 120,000 miles on it. Probably 120,000 miles in hard miles, but I'll take what I can get. As mentioned before, it's got the AX15 and of course the NP231, and yeah, more 5-speed. Pretty clean. No real signs of rust, except for I guess that. But yeah, could use a good cleaning though. A little dirty. It does have a PT Cruiser seats in here, which I gotta admit I'm not much of a fan of. They're really tall. Like for example, there's my hand, barely fitting right there. So especially myself being 6'3" and heavier than I should be, it's not too comfortable to get in or out. The interesting thing though is PT Cruiser seats bolt up. There was no modification done to anything. These seats just bolt up, which is kind of funny to think about. I have my eyes on some either best top seats or maybe it's not Brid, whatever the other brand of seats are, and looking to possibly get some with harnesses for them, just because I don't know, I feel like it. But anyways, seats, they're cool, they're not my thing. And then of course just the regular gauges elsewhere as soon as this decides to focus. The gauges do seem to like to misbehave a lot. Coolant gauge seems to work, but I don't really trust it. The fuel gauge also seems to work. I don't really have an issue with that. The oil pressure gauge does whatever it wants. Sometimes it'll peg at 80, it'll go to 0 and give you a heart attack. Whatever the case is, it's not very reliable for a very critical gauge. I'm intending to pull those gauges out, and I can't remember what the name of the company is, like Auto Tune or Auto Dial, I don't know. It's some gauge company, and they make a little piece that goes right there so you can put just regular old gauges in. And I think that's what I want to do, and just wire up my own gauges. Yeah, no complaints there. Fire extinguisher, important. I have one in my Jeep, my XJ, my other Jeep, I guess. And it is buried somewhere. If I get in a crash, it will do me no good. No speakers, nothing special. Back seat. I do like the factory back seat. But yeah, so anyways, that's a full Jeep walk around. We'll go start it up. Actually, on the inside, there's a bikini top, which is currently resting on my head. Really just needs to be pulled tight. And of course, inside view, and of course how close it is to my thigh. Starts right up. Fourth time for the first time every time. This is my first time actually owning a carbureted vehicle, so learning that was a little bit of a curve, because I'm used to my fuel injected stuff. It starts up the first time every time. This takes a couple pumps on the throttle and starts up, idles well. Yeah, let's go to the hood. Chugging away. Anyways, well, this is the new Jeep. It's gonna be my daily for a little bit. It's certainly, if it's not the forever vehicle. The Cherokee is here to stay. I love the Cherokee. It's my favorite, but I do really like this old Jeep. Like I said, thinking new flares, possibly new bumper, maybe fuel injection. I'm looking at EFI conversion kits because the 4.2 works. Got to make the front axle match, fix the fan clutch. Also, the e-brake needs work, which is why that's there. And but honestly, it works.